And now, enough about me. Let's go. I'm so excited on this Monday to kick off today's event. Get advice from women at Sonepar about roles that could be your next. Sponsored, of course, by my good friends over at Sonepar. Now, for those who don't know, Fairy God Boss is the largest online community, career community for women. Millions of women visit Fairy God Boss for career connections, jobs, community advice, hard to find intel about how companies treat women, and virtual events just like this. So, with all that said, we are thrilled, ecstatic to be joined by three leaders today. That's going to be Rebecca Inocencio, Jen Pietleski, and Erin Winchell. So we would love for each of you wonderful ladies to take a minute to introduce yourselves. We'd love to hear what's going on in your lives, whether it be personally or professionally, whatever you're comfortable doing so, and what you do in your role today at Sonepar. Rebecca, I would love to start with you.
Thank you so much for having us. And it's an honor to be included with this awesome group of women. And so my name is Rebecca Inocencio. I am region manager for Irby Utilities, and it's a new venture. We're joining Irby in the process of it right now out of California. So I've been regional manager at Independent Utility Supply, and now we're joining Irby Utilities, and it's this new role, and it's amazing. Joining me in the background is this little thing. Um, Her name is Sky. So if you see her moving, she's my new rescue Yorkie. So thank you for having us. I'm in California and so excited to be here today in my role as regional manager. Excited to tell you all about what we do, and um, thank you for having us.
Absolutely happy to have you. Jen, we'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, good morning, Lasheen. Again, thank you for having me here. It's been an honor to be selected to participate on this panel with Rebecca and Aaron. It's an exciting opportunity. I have been at Viking now for a few years. I've been in this current role, an enterprise account executive, for about 2.5 years. Not new to the industry. My background is actually I'm a certified lighting designer. I've worked for two different distributors. I've also worked for two different electrical contractors. So I've been doing this for about 18 years. So I've had a lot of experience being out in the field, working with the foremen or electricians, taking off my own estimates and proposals. But what's really cool about my current role at Viking is that this was a brand new role that was created here a couple years ago. And when I saw it posted, I was like, that looks cool and that looks really creative. And I hopped on it immediately and was like, I want to take this and run it. And so, as an enterprise account executive, for the last 2.5 years, I've continued to develop it. I have pivoted and changed it and try to figure out what makes this role successful for Viking as a whole. And basically, a lot of my time is building relationships with our general contractors, our architects, our designers, doing business development. I do spend a lot of time of mentoring and training and development of other associates who are interested in getting into the lighting field. And yeah, I wear a lot of hats at Viking. It's fun. It's not just one role, but I think the thing I love about working at Viking is I get to just kind of be outside my box every day. One unique thing I want to give a toot toot about is I was a co-founder of our WAT group, which is Women Advocating Today for Tomorrow.
Mm.
We have quite a few of these chapters throughout our Sonepar family, so it was really exciting to get that started and be a part of that, and being an influence and support some of the other women at Viking with their personal and professional development.
Wow. Wow. Fantastic, Jen. I love it. I love it. I love it. So exciting. I'm already starting to get a little bit of the goosebumps. And last but certainly not least, Erin, please introduce yourself and your role at Irby Utility.
Hello, I'm Erin Winchell. I am based out of Wilmington, Delaware, which is just south of Philadelphia on the East Coast. I I am the Vice President of Operations for Irby Utilities, which means I am responsible for most compliance-oriented behaviors and procedures in our company. I've been in the industry for 23 years. It's treated me very well. I love it, and I'm so very glad to be here. I am a proud mom of two boys, 15 and 12-year-old, and married, going on 20 years of marriage. So quite busy, but very happy to be here. So thank you for including me.
Absolutely. I have a 16-year-old myself, so I know how busy you are. All right. So thank you all so much. I'm already loving this group. I'm loving the energy. We're going to have a great time, everybody. I'm so excited for today's discussion. And for those who are just tuning in, I would like to remind everyone that we will be answering questions that come directly from you all. Please submit your questions on the chat on the right of your screen, and we'll do we will do the best we can to respond to as many as we can. Now, without further ado, I would like to hear from each of you. I want to start with Jen. Can you tell us a bit about your job? What's your current role? How long have you been in this specific role? Jen, I think you kind of answered that part already. And what's your day-to-day like? I know you wear a lot of different hats, so I'm very curious.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, so I've been in the industry for 18 years. I fell into the electrical industry completely by accident. I have a bachelor's degree in interior design, construction management with an art minor. And 18 years ago, and yes, do not age me, there was not LinkedIn and monster.com. You had to send out a pile of those pretty hard paper, resumes, and hopefully someone smells one and looks at it and, oh, this looks like a good resume. Let's look at it. So, um, did a lot of work to try to get myself a job somewhere. So fell into this industry by accident, working for as a AutoCAD drafter for an electrical contractor, and quickly fell in love with lighting and the electrical industry and construction in itself. I had a lot of opportunity to be out on the job site with a hard hat. And most of the time I was typically the only female on the job site, which was a little intimidating, but at times it was kind of cool. I got to learn about conduit and switch gear and wire and copper and sleeves, and oh my goodness, the list goes on, and my brain was just blowing up. But there was something about lighting that really gravitated towards me, and understanding what was behind lighting design, because a lot of people don't understand when they go into a space, a doctor's office, their child's classroom, even your home lighting, Target, like we can go list on and on and on. All these different places have certain requirements of light levels. They also have certain requirements to meet energy code requirements. So this nerd in me just like blew up, like, ooh, I'm gonna like learn how to do this and make some really cool spaces. And so my most of my career was in lighting, and I got my certification, and coming to Viking brought a whole nother challenge to me, that there was this personality and this skill set I had to um, grow my relationships with my electrical contractors, because I was providing this design service for them, because nobody in house knows how to do lighting and everybody hates doing lighting. So they always like, we're just call Jen. We're going to call Jen. She's going to tell us what we need. We're going to meet code. We'll buy the stuff from her, call it good. It was great. It was a great sales pitch. But now, as an enterprise account executive, we're taking that to a whole nother level, that now I get to expand out beyond my design skill set, but really work on that business development and be really creative of how we go to market. Because Viking, Sonepar, we are distributors, and we're usually the last ones to come to the table to get an opportunity on a job. So I'm changing that approach, is that now Viking, we're talking with the architects, we're talking with the GCs on behalf of the electrical contractor, and we're helping finding efficiencies in those designs and processes at the beginning. We also get to lock in the job. And so that for me is really rewarding, to come back to Viking and say, yes, we've got our name on this. I'm not going to even name our competition, but there's plenty of competition here in the Twin Cities market in Minnesota. But we're getting to start locking that in, and my customers now are appreciating that, because I'm going to bat for them. And so every day is a different opportunity of either putting together some value engineering for a customer, or I'm making that consultant calls straight to the architect on behalf of the EC, because they don't know how to talk to architects. They just want to tear that project up and make it cheap. And that's like, nope, time out. We got to do a good job on this, but let me help you. So every day is different. Yeah, last week I had a hard hat. I was down at a refinery walking around with steel toe shoes, and week before that I had high heels on and having a presentation in front of an architect. Like, so it's really enjoying for me, because every day is just a different story, but it's always a new challenge to figure out.
That is Awesome. I love your energy, by the way, Jen. Wow. So inspiring. Okay, cool stuff. Erin, I would love to hear a little bit about your current role and how long you've been in that role, and then what's your day-to-day like?
So my current role is a vice president of, I would say, corporate operations. It defines it a little bit more clearly. So I've been in this role about 3 years, and my day to day varies quite a bit, but mostly because I have 6 direct reports. They have a wide scope of responsibility. So I'm a lot of times connecting folks and making sure that we're all aligned with what we're trying to do. But the focus is always a standardized approach and having a best practice and looking at productivity and efficiency. I do a lot of connection between our operating company and Sonepar, our parent company, and just navigating and making sure resources are available to folks. My day to day is, a lot of meetings like this, video meetings, but also I'm much like Jen. I travel. I have the responsibility for the entire country and all operations within that. So it's important that I get out and see folks and see what people are doing in our branches. So that's about every other week is the goal, to get out and see branches. Sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't. But seeing people and connecting is the best part about it. And so heels to boots as well.
I love it. Fantastic. All right. And then Rebecca, I'd love for you to chime in on this one here.
Yeah. I am regional manager for Urban Utilities, and I've been in my regional role for about 10 years. And I was promoted to branch manager at 25. And so I've been in the industry, gosh, I'm going to date myself, 26 years. So it's been a long time. But regional manager, and I have responsibility for 2 branches in California, Sacramento and Tracy. And so I'm usually between both branches quite a bit during the week. And I also love to be able to get out and see customers, meet vendors. So I'm doing a little bit of everything, just like Jen and Erin. It's kind of what we do. And for me, it just makes me happy to be able to interact with people and see the different facets of the business. It's not just one thing every day. It's, hey, today I get to meet with a vendor. Tomorrow I get to, go out on a sales call with a salesperson. So that is just one of the things that I enjoy about my current role. But it's a lot of sales, and also looking at inventory. Do we have what we need for our customers? And how can we get what we need for our customers? It's all about relationships. And that's been what we've built our business on. And there it is in a nutshell.
Love it, love it, love it. All right, so let's dive in a little bit deeper here. My next question is, and Jen, I'd love if you could kick us off on this one. What do you find most rewarding and challenging about your work?
Great question. Yes, yes, and yes. So I'm going to start off with the challenge, because the challenge becomes the reward. So being a part of this industry, the biggest challenge is time and deadlines.
Mm,
Not gonna lie, everyone is busy. Everyone's got deadlines. There are bids. We're at the mercy of working with our reps, our customers. In a day of technology, everybody wants a response like this. They're not going to wait for that 24-hour phone call back or the email. So the challenge is just being efficient every day and organized and on top. And you have to always be prepared for that unexpected fire to come on your plate. So I'm not going to intimidate anybody, because this is all good stuff. Because what happens is, I know, Lasheen, you're kind of rolling your eyes like, how is a fire good? These are wonderful, because for me, I love a good challenge, and that gets my heart rate going, it gets my energy going. And that makes me really think fast and find these quick solutions for my customers, whether it's a problem on a job site or they're calling me up and said, Jen, I got to shave $40,000 off this job, but we can't change the design. I'm like, I can find you $40,000. And that's the reward. My customer, within a couple hours, if I can sit down and I can call a rep up and start working things together, call the architect directly. Again, this is that direct line that distributors didn't have before. They know who I am, and they're like, Jen's on the job. Jen's helping to find some efficient products that are architectural friendly without the architectural price on it, and really maneuver. So every day is maneuvering those schedules, but the reward is so great because at the end of the day, that customer is so satisfied that they sat back, Jen took care of it. They got the job because of the heavy lifting that I did for them. And in return, I got that job with really good margin on it. And then the extra reward comes is that that architect and that GC is now going to come back to the electrical contractor and say, hey, Mike, you and Jen did an awesome job on that job. Can we repeat that same thing on the next job? So for me, that gets really exciting that now Viking myself is getting asked to be at the table on those next jobs because of those urgencies and things that we're able to work out. So it is challenging. It's a timeline. And I think if you talk to a lot of people within distribution and who are in sales, time is of money. So it is hard every day to constantly be organized, but it is the reward at the end.
Phenomenal. That is absolutely phenomenal. Same question for you, Erin. I'd love to know, what do you consider rewarding and challenging about your work?
In my current role, the most rewarding thing that I have is that we're building something new. We have experienced a lot of growth over the last several years, and my position is available because of our growth and our need to really standardize our business and minimize our risk and increase productivity. So on that end, we have a lot of rope to do to try new things, and to a lot of ownership of the work. But that's also the challenge. We're building something new, and in some cases, changing things or the way we've always done it, which does make people uncomfortable occasionally. So we have to work really hard to prove our value and justify things through numbers and talk to folks and sort of sell internally within our organization. So it's really, really rewarding, but it can be difficult. So, but I think all difficult things are rewarding.
I like that. I like that a lot. Good point. All righty. So this is one of my personal favorite questions. And Rebecca, we haven't heard from you in a little bit, so I want you to kick this one off. How have you found your own passion, purpose, and voice at work?
Ooh, so I'll start by saying that it's Fairy God Boss is super awesome just because of all it's women based, and I think that we know that we're women working in a man's world.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been growing more and more to have women in our industry, and that makes me so happy. But for me, in my 20s specifically, was when I first started. I was fresh out of college, and that's when I started off and was thrust into different roles, young, 25 branch manager. But I really realized that I had a passion for what I was doing when it wasn't like I woke up in the morning and I have to go to work.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, I get to go to work. And I think that that's something that still resonates with me. I get to go to work. I get to work with the most amazing group of people that surround me to make my job look amazing and glamorous at times, and has its ups and downs at other times. But what a great feeling to get the opportunity to lead and grow everyone around me as I'm growing myself as well. So I think that it was hard work. It was taking a lot of initiative. It was seeing other people in the branch and saying, hey, what can I learn from you? What can you teach me today? Because I love that stimulation of what's the next thing I'm going to learn. And then growing from that, and then growing people around me as well.
Oh my gosh, what a great answer. I love that so much. I'm really getting the goosies here. So Erin, same question here. How have you found your own passion, purpose, and voice at work?
Yeah, much like Rebecca stated, I had a lot of responsibility early on in my career, and almost always had much more tenured folks reporting to me, which was intimidating. So what I found was I'm a data-driven person. I follow the facts, I follow the numbers, and that has not that has worked for me, and it also builds trust with the folks that I'm working with. So you remove emotion from your scenarios and just really work on what the right process is, the right procedure for the company, and always advocate for it for the company. And I think that's been my method. Folks know that if I've made a decision, it's well considered, thought out, and proven out in most cases. And then I'm not afraid to pivot if I'm wrong. I often, if I made the wrong call, I'm going to admit it. So trust and follow the data. And if that changes, pivot quickly.
Absolutely. That is literally like a life lesson right there as well. So I hope everyone caught that. Thank you so much, Erin. So I want to switch gears a teeny tiny bit and talk a little bit about the company's culture. Now, Jen, what's your favorite aspect of the company's culture, and how does Sonepar help you succeed?
That's a heavy question because there's a lot of different ways I can answer. I worked for a different distributor quite a few years ago, earlier in my industry, and working from Viking and Sonepar is completely different. Um, I came to Viking in the middle of the pandemic. I quickly learned who Sonepar was as a parent company, and quickly understood the support and the direct resources that were available to me, because for me, I was on an opportunity to want to keep growing my career, and I had some roadblocks at former employers. And so coming to Sonepar, I had every resource available, and they definitely show that support of wanting to promote within. If you show interest, let's put you on a path. What don't you know? Let's get you the resource. Um, you want to learn about somebody's job? Great, go ask them. I think there's this level of having an understanding of process and standards and procedures within your role, but there's this opportunity that you're allowed to expand outside your box. If you see a different way of doing this more efficient, try it out. Talk with your manager about it. Feel free to meet with other people from other departments to learn more about the company. I think that was such a hush hush thing, so many years ago, that you come in, you do your job, and this is what you're told to do, and that's all you do. But coming to Sonepar, it's like, hey, we hired you to do this, but we know you have this interest and you have this background, and what else you want to do? I mean, it's like Sonepar saying, what else? What else do you want to do? I mean, and I only can speak from my experience, but from day one coming to Sonepar, I feel like I've been given those blocks to step. I just have had to choose to step up and say, hey, I'm interested in that, and I'm given the opportunity to, hey, maybe I want to go meet with Erin, the VP at Irby, and talk to her about her job, because maybe I want to be a VP someday, or
Mhm.
I haven't had experience in operations, but maybe understanding more about operations can make me better as an enterprise account executive. And Sonepar has a huge online e-learning for A to Z. If you want to learn anything, it's all free available. And our managers are so supportive of that. And for me, what's really rewarding, from being more of a senior veteran, is like, I've been encouraged to put time into my team members and share my knowledge, and bring them to job sites with me, and share with them my experiences of my career path, and help direct them, and the women and men of Sonepar, of like, hey, just apply. All you gotta do is ask. If you want to learn something, just ask. And I think having that's what I call an open door policy. Is it's there. No one's there to shut you down. Sonepar is going to be there to help put together a path for whatever you want, because as long as you come with the right attitude and the right drive, they're going to support you along the way.
Wow. That was really inspiring. I hope the audience is really paying attention here. There's some really, really good stuff here. Rebecca, same question for you as far as the culture. What's your favorite aspect of it, and how does Sonepar help you succeed?
Wow. I mean, I think that what I've seen is just this highly effective team with that is led by Sonepar, that gives us this flexibility to run our businesses and be engaged in our businesses, and yet they're there to help when we need them, but they're also very hands off. If we're doing well and we're succeeding, they're like, awesome, continue on. We have a trust in you as our leadership team and as employees, and we're trusting in you and believing in you to get it done the way that we would. Raise your hand if you need us. And when we raise our hand, they're there to help. And the communication has just been phenomenal. So that is it in a nutshell.
Wow, that is phenomenal. That's just so tremendous. I've been working with Sonepar as a partner, well, with Fair God Boss for many years now, and I just love just hearing what you guys have to say, because it really translates over from the folks that I've been working with over at Sonepar as well. So there is a question from the audience, so I wanted to take this opportunity here. And Erin, this one is specifically for you. So the question is, do operation roles have a standard job description? I have seen them look quite varied.
And they are. Operations, as if anyone who's interested in getting into an operations career, it's quite varied throughout our company, throughout the operating companies. At Irby Utilities, we consider two types of operations. We have corporate operations, which would involve what my team does, which is related to our warehouse management system and our software and our safety and our facilities and acquisitions and things that we need to do to support the business. But there's field operations, which would be the branch network and what the folks do locally to get product out the door and to service the customer. So we're not responsible for the actual activity or in the branch level, and that's probably the roles you're seeing are branch operations manager roles, and that's actually in scope in the next year or so, is to really hone in on that job description and to get that more standardized, because as we've grown, we've seen other levels get added into the that title. There's branch manager, there's branch operations managers, we now have assistant branch operations managers. So it's an area of opportunity, but ultimately I think for you, if you're interested in looking into the company, I would ask the question, is this what's the engagement? What are you responsible for? Are you responsible for the actual infrastructure in the local city, in the town, servicing the customer? Or are you looking at operating company level operations, which is more corporate and a little bit longer term, strategic and procedural?
Okay, I hope that really helps with the person who asked that specific question. I do want to ask another one. Now, this one is for anyone to answer. Erin, I'm going to ask that you go back on mute, because I like to do these Family Feud style. First person who unmutes gets to answer. And I'm curious about this too myself. But what differentiates Sonepar from others in your space and industry? Erin?
I'll say because we're privately held, we have a longer term view. Our competition, at least in my space, is publicly held, and they have to answer to the market on a quarterly basis. We're able to take longer term investment strategies and apply them, which makes us be able to be more flexible and creative with our customer base and with our people.
Very concise and to the point. I love it. Absolutely. Cool stuff. All right. So jumping back into my questions, I wanted to ask a very simple but loaded question. And Erin, since we have you, I want you to keep on going. What advice do you have for someone new to your industry?
I think it's to be patient. I think there's a lot to learn in this industry. It seems simple in that we're a distributor. We don't produce anything, but we produce value and solutions. Time in job and work experience is extremely valuable. So just as Jen noted before, if you're in a role and maybe that's not where you want to stay, find ways to connect and investigate other roles, but be patient and listen and get what you can out of the role. This company has been extremely generous to me, both in time and effort and investment. And the new folks I see coming in are so intelligent and eager. That's great, but just enjoy the time in the role that you're given, and become an expert at that, and all the doors will open for you.
Very, very good answer. Amazing. Jen, same question. What advice do you have for someone new to your industry?
Yeah, I will piggyback on what Erin said is patience. I think a lot of newcomers to our industry just want to jump on the train and make that big dollar and, be an account manager or be a VP, right? But our industry is about time and experience. And I know that's just like, it's like the mom thing to say, right? Yes, I'm a mom. But it is, and enjoy that journey. And in addition to that, I'm going to say network, network, network. And that's networking internally, networking externally. Learn from every situation, ask questions, but gravitate and just be patient along that journey, because this industry is so big, but it's so small. And I think from a career opportunity, it is endless. And if you take the time to really build that solid foundation and be patient and put every one of those blocks in place as you go, you're going to figure out eventually what that path is going to be. And someone like Erin, who's like, all right, I'm going to be a VP of Irby Utilities, is awesome, right? And so, like, for me, that's encouraging to see Erin on here, that hey, I have been patient in my career, and I've done this and I've done this, and I'm trying to learn here, and I'm going to observe, and I'm going to ask questions, and I'm going to go do this education and do this extra work. But be patient, because when you be patient, you retain that information, and that information is of value. And we at Viking kind of stop. We're trying to get away from saying distributor. We are a place of solutions and services. Yes, we sell product, but we are a solution service, and that comes from the knowledge that our people provide to our customers. So patience, 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 and absorb it all in.
Oh, absolutely. Tremendous answer there. Thank you so much. So this is going to be a really interesting one. So I want you guys to really think about this one. Rebecca, I want to hear from you first. Now, what's something you think most people, perhaps even current employees, don't know about your role or company that you think they should?
Gosh, I kind of am piggybacking on Erin and Jen's first, the last question, in that I started in the industry fresh out of college as a temp. I was just looking for, okay, I have bills to pay. I have college loans. I gotta, do something in the interim while I'm looking for this next big job. And I started as a temp, and gosh, within my first couple weeks, they had paid off my contract and hired me permanent. So I started as a temp receptionist, and I did a little bit of inside sales. I did a little bit of utility product sales. And then all of a sudden, I didn't ask, I didn't apply. I was promoted to branch manager. And I think that this industry is one that has tremendous opportunity. And that's what I love about our company is it's there. We want each other to succeed. And that's an amazing feeling to be able to say, hey, we have other positions. Please try and apply for them, because we want to see you in the best position for you. What better goal is it as leaders to say, hey, we promoted from within the next person in that position? It's amazing.
That is truly amazing. I love this conversation because one thing that I think we can all agree on is that, like, 18 to 20 years ago, it wasn't like this, like you didn't have these opportunities that we're all having now. And I always like to say, like, that's why I'm so passionate about being a part of Fairy Godboss and partnering with companies like Sonepar, because I think we're, this is going to sound a little cheesy, but I think we're kind of making the world a little bit different, a little bit better, because things are better than they were in some aspects, especially like this conversation we're having. Like, we're having opportunities and doing things that might not have been so easy 20 years ago. So it's fantastic. I love this conversation, guys. Erin, I do want to ask you the same question. What's something you think most people don't know that you think they should?
Well, I think most folks don't really think about specifically urban utilities, that there is a role, and there's, you see a pole on the side of the road and you think, oh, that's just the utility company. There's a lot of effort and there's a lot of products there that we support, and we will get there for you, and how critical all of that is. But within that is, as a distributor in the utility space, our company is extremely innovative. So we are getting into areas that other competition is not. So we're a very traditional business. Utility infrastructure does not change very often, but we are kind of leading the way in how these utilities are servicing, where they're getting their product, how we're relating to them, how we're servicing them, and then the breadth of product that we're getting involved in. We have an extremely diverse offering of services and products. So sometimes technology businesses get, a little bit more press because they're sexy, but our business is innovative and it is extremely stable. Everybody wants to walk in the room and turn their lights on, right? So we're here to stay. We're an essential business. We've experienced wonderful growth, both through, the investment in infrastructure that the government is making just to electrify and do things of that nature. And we're growing, and there are many, many opportunities here.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. So this is going to be a fun one. It's going to take a little bit of thought, but I really want to hear your answers on this one. Jen, I would love to kick off with you. Now, looking back on your career, what would you say has been your most valuable career mistake, and how did you overcome it?
Oh, Lasheen, these are heavy questions today.
Mm-hmm.
I've made mistakes. I can't, I don't think I could pinpoint one specific, like really bad one. But I have made mistakes because I've had to learn and grow from them. I think early on in my career, my self-confidence was probably very limited, just because my knowledge of the industry was little to nothing besides having one electrical course in college. I was afraid to ask questions. And so trying to learn what I was doing working for a contractor, I screwed up many times, and it was just because I was afraid to ask for help, or ask because I didn't want someone to think I was stupid and if I couldn't find the answer. And so I quickly learned from those mistakes that it was better just to, Jen, you're not stupid. No question's a stupid question. Everybody knows you're trying to learn this, because I had no electrical background. And that really started kind of helping me step forward and building my confidence a little bit more, because once I wasn't afraid to ask questions, then I was more confident to ask questions ahead of time that weren't even related to my job. So that's where the learning started really rolling. But I had a couple oopsies, and you know, it was it cost our company, some money, because I forgot to ask what the voltage was on a job, and I specified a 120 volt light fixture and it should have been a 277, and when they wired it up, it went, and we had to buy another light fixture because I didn't bother to ask what the voltage was and why was it important. So it's things things like that, again, early on in career. But as I think as you move on, you have to remember, for me, I'm sure there's people on this call that know me. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist, and it's because I have to be timely and efficient and organized, and I get mad at myself when I screw up. But what I remember, because I'll screw up on something every week, but it's a matter of telling myself, what did I learn from it, and why did I not just slow down and take care of it, or just make the phone call or something. So I think that's the biggest encouragement I would have for anybody in the industry, new or middle or old, is just ask, slow down, and then ask the question to make sure you understand the expectations.
Understood, and I love that. Thank you for being so honest, so candid with that. And that's great takeaways in that story just now. Erin, same thing. What would you say has been your most valuable career mistake, and how'd you overcome it?
I tend to just have themes, and one theme that I have is that I've answered too quickly, instead of saying, let me think about it. And in most cases, I answer in a way that would hurt myself. I say no to things out of fear. And I've identified that and shifted, and it's been wonderful because luckily most times that I said no, I had a very supportive group around me that was like, you might want to think about it, and kind of convinced me about an opportunity. But so I didn't give myself the chance, and I thought someone needed an answer quickly. It's okay to say, let me think about it, or ask additional questions. Give yourself the space and the confidence to think about what you're doing. Don't feel pressured one way or the other. An answer of, I'm not sure, can I think about it, or can we talk about this in more detail, is completely acceptable and warranted, and often buys you some goodwill in that process. So speak up for yourself, ask more questions. Don't cut yourself short where there's an opportunity.
Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much. So, audience members, we are going to take some more questions. So if you have anything that you wanted to ask our panelists, now's the time to send those in. We do have a two-parter already. So again, Family Feud style, whoever unmutes first gets it. So I'm going to do part 1 and 2 at the same time. They're pretty much combined. So how long ago did you have your sights set on your current role? Like, did you apply for it, or did your manager see your value and promote you without asking? And then part 2 is, what was your combination of continued education that got you where you are today? Jen?
Yes, I got the buzzer. I'm excited about this one. Great question for whoever asked. So I was not looking for this role as an enterprise account executive. It was a brand new role created at Viking, and Viking and Sonepar is great about sending out weekly emails to everybody about, here's a role, internal, apply. And I saw it and I was like, that's kind of interesting. And I immediately got a phone call from a leader at Viking, and he called me up and said, Jen, we're meeting for lunch tomorrow. And I was like, okay. And it was basically him that said, Jen, this is your job to lose. This has your name written all over it. This was the guy who actually recruited me to Viking. He's like, I've seen what you've done in this industry. I've seen what you've done with customers. He's like, this is a perfect role for you to take and run. And that made me uncomfortable because I was looking eventually to grow my career, but this was going to be a step out of my comfort zone because I'd been a certified lighting designer for 16 years, and now I was having an opportunity to kind of take away what's made me successful and do something new. And what it ended up doing is I got to take into this role and take my knowledge and experience and apply it and make this role really successful. So it was a challenge. And Aaron mentioned about a pivot. I had to pivot a couple times within the first 9 months of this role because there was expectations from our company of what they wanted on this job. Our president had an expectation. My boss had an expectation, and somehow I had to take these 3 expectations and put them together and figure it out. Like, okay, this is what they want. How do I make everybody happy? And so I was up for the challenge, and it was really exciting now being in this role for 2.5 years and seeing how it's grown and how it's pivoted. And we've actually now added another, what we call an EAE, Enterprise Account Executive, over in our Milwaukee Eastern region. So now there's 2 of us covering for Viking, and her and I work together. And we don't quite go to business the same way, but now we work as a team to identify, what are you doing differently with your market, and this is how I'm doing with my market. And it's been so enjoyable that it's exciting to know, like, we could start adding more E&Es year after year now, and I could be a part of that training process of, this is what it means to be an EAE at Viking. Here you go. Here's your foundation, just like Sonepar, but now you take it and brand it, make it your own, and make it successful. So it's been exciting, and not sure what my next step is, but from a career, your second part was, what am I doing from a growth standpoint? Is I meet with people on a weekly basis at Viking. I meet with our president, Stacy, bi-monthly. I meet with director of operations, our quotations managers. I meet with our newly hires. I'm helping put together training for our counter people. I want to know all the people at Viking because I want to understand what their roles are and what can I do to help them be successful, or what can I learn from them to me be a better successful as an EAE to help our company grow. So, but on top of that, LinkedIn, webinars, read books. I am a huge advocate of reading books. Definitely that weekly. I spend every Friday. I block time off for my own professional and personal development, and if that's just watching a LinkedIn or reading a book, taking notes, something that's helping me keep me focused on how I want to be a better person. And that's not only here at home as a mom and as a wife, but how do I be a better coworker to my team? How do I be a better sales associate and support for my customers? So it's that constant pushing yourself to learn. And you can't do that just sitting down. You have to be out looking for that education. And there's plenty of resources out there, but make it a weekly habit, just like exercising.
There you go. I love it. Love it. Love it. So there's another question in. Same rules apply. So this one's pretty simple here. But this is a very good question. I know everyone wants to know. Are any sales / account management / business development positions at Sonepar remote?
Yes.
Mhm.
I guess I'll answer that too. That's kind of my role. So I am a what I would call a hybrid position. I do try to go to the office because I think it's important to collaborate with the team that is supporting the projects that I'm bringing in from our customers. As you can see, I am home in my remote office here. Yes, my puppy is here sleeping on the floor, being very good right now. But every day it's different because I'm out at job sites or I'm making calls to account managers. But in my current role, I have that flexibility to create my office hours of when I'm at the Viking Minneapolis branch or what days am I at my home office. And that varies between positions, but that's pretty consistent when we look at what I call an outside sales type role. So most of those at Viking are going to be a hybrid position.
Sweet, sweet. All right. Another question came in that kind of ties into that. It's for anybody. You don't have to answer, Jen. But if you know the answer, please go on. Does Sonepar only hire in certain states?
No, I'll answer that. I mean, we hire all over the world. Really, Sonepar is worldwide. I think we're the number one electrical distributor worldwide. So we hire all over the place. We have different operating companies that fall under the Sonepar umbrella, the Sonepar family. And I see her just stop. But yeah, so Sonepar is nationwide.
Fantastic.
Can I?
Yeah.
I would just want to add one quick thing to that, Lasheen. Something that's really neat. What Rebecca is saying is that under the Sonepar umbrella, we have individuals that have gone from Viking to Irby,
Mhm.
and they have not moved. They have lived in their same location. We've got people that work for our One Source company out in California that could live where Sonepar is in the Carolinas. So we have associates who have moved throughout the Sonepar family, what we call SUSA, the Sonepar USA. We have an associate just recently that left Viking for Irby, and I was super excited for her. I was like, it was a great promotion opportunity, but she's still here in Minnesota. So that is another one neat thing about Sonepar is that you're not contained within your family opco. You have an abundant career opportunity nationwide. And if you have the opportunity to move and travel, that's great. But there are still other career advancements to move amongst the different OPCO families for other promotional opportunities.
Okay, that's good to know. All right, great. Another question. Have you ever had to advocate for yourself about your skill set within your role? And if so, how did you go about it and what were the results? Erin?
Every day. Every day. I'll answer it quite simply. What I found works best, and I mentioned this before, following the facts and the data. I find that I'm mostly, sometimes we can personalize and feel like we're advocating for ourselves. We're typically advocating for an opinion or a perspective on something related to a decision within the company. And if you strip out your personal, your ego and things of that nature, and you focus on, are you being heard or ignored because of your perspective? And is it not qualified enough? Have you not addressed someone else's concerns directly? That tends to be the nut of it where I found the biggest conflict is it's easy to personalize. But a lot of times it's more about the decision and the business, and maybe not taking the time to listen to or consider all points of view and understand where your real conflict is. It's typically not at the personal level and individual level. It is difficult, though, as we mentioned before. We are very much a male-dominated industry, but we're noticing that's a change that we're seeing. More women in roles of leadership, and that, I think, as folks get more comfortable and they realize we're not going anywhere, that it gets a little easier. But I would say just most times it's about the issue and the decision and a difference of opinions, not necessarily about the individual speaking or having that opinion.
Amazing. So, at Fairy God Boss, as we're wrapping up here, at Fairy God Boss, we have a tradition. One of my favorite traditions is of asking our panelists the following. Now, what we've observed is that typically, and don't shoot the messenger here, but typically, women don't feel comfortable enough bragging or taking ownership of all the amazing things that they achieve. Now, if you guys could please just share with us an accomplishment, whether personal or professional, that you're most proud of, we would love to hear it. And Erin, I would love it if you could kick us off.
Pressure, I get to start. I think it's being here today and in this role. When I first started in distribution, there was a female vice president of operations in the company I was working for, and she was so highly regarded and had so much experience within the company that and she was a rock star, and I was like, I want to be her when I grow up. And I'm still yearning for that, that level of respect and achievement. But I have had some folks on my own team say that they want to be me when they grow up, which honestly, that was the most, that felt so good. And that's a very recent comment that was made. I want to be that person that's representing and making people feel like it's possible. So it was very relevant and recent moment for me. So thank you.
That is amazing. It's something to be so proud of. That one just tugged at the heartstrings there. I love it. Jen, something you're proud of, personal or professional?
Oh, yeah. We're doing a lot of piggybacking, and hopefully I don't start crying here. And I will, because I'm a girl, and that's just, I want to be emotional. So, a big bragging moment coming to Viking was, again, it's a male-dominant industry. Stacy Stanzlowski is our president. She is phenomenal. I have learned a lot from her in the last few years. But without, what I've been really excited about is her support. We started our WAT group, I think within 6 months after I started at Viking, and I am a co-founder of it, and I don't want to be bragging about the co-founding of it. I want to brag about the women that have stepped up to help make that community successful. And I know of a lot of them are on here, and they're going to send me some toots in our little chat after this. But to be a part of such an amazing group of women and in being an encouragement, if they could speak on here, they'd all tell you I'm a spitfire. I am crazy energy. I would bend over backwards for any of these women at Viking because I love to be there for them and push them to their potential and be their support and be their rah-rah. And it's exciting when an individual messaged me and she's like, Jen, there's this job. Should I apply? And I'm like, heck yes, go for it. What do you need from me? Like, it's being that cheerleader. And yes, I'm holding back tears, but I think it's being a part of such an amazing group of women at Viking that have branched out to support each other. And it's not this group of women that a lot of the men thought, like, what's this women group at Viking? And they're meeting once a month to this chitter chatter. No, it's a group of women that are sharing their wins and sharing that they're pushing each other. And for me, like, I got to be a part of that. I got to be a part of starting that. And so that hits home so much. And to step down from out of the leadership role, and there's other women now on that committee that are leading the charge this year. I'm just so proud and excited to see where so many women have expanded. We've had more women apply at Viking. We've got more women that are applying and getting promotions because they're getting outside that comfort zone and saying, I want to learn, but I don't know. I think I want that job, and they're preparing and they're doing it. And what they're doing is making a huge impact on our full culture. It's not just the women, but as those women are growing, it's expanding out to our men, and the culture is changing so dramatically in such a positive way that these men are coming behind the women and supporting them, and realizing that yes, women aren't one to ask, and we're not here to brag, and so they're coming behind this community and pushing them up. So I guess that's my breaking point. I don't want to brag about it, but yes, I was proud to be a part of that, and proud to be about that group of women that are growing together now.
That is tremendous and definitely something to brag about. Phenomenal. You're part of making the world a better place. And last but certainly not least, Rebecca, we would just love to hear personal or professional achievement.
Gosh, I think that my biggest bragging moment is promoting 2 women in my branch, and I get teary-eyed too, into branch manager roles, into an operations manager role. It's just from starting young and having no other women as managers and going into a big meeting and being the only woman there to all of a sudden being surrounded by such phenomenal women in our industry. It just makes my heart so happy. And so that's my bragging moment. And I saved something that from my calendar from last week, and it says, it's from Rihanna, and it says, there's something so special about a woman who dominates in a man's world. It takes certain grace, strength, intelligence, fearlessness, and the nerve to never take no for an answer. So that is all of us.
Ooh, everybody else felt that? Oh, man. I don't even know how we're going to top that. I'm going to call it a wrap right there. I wanted to just say thank you so much, Rebecca, Jen, and Erin, for joining us today and for sharing such fantastic and tangible, real world advice. And thanks to all of you who tuned in for the discussion. Now, as a reminder, we'll be sending out a recording of today's event along with resources to learn more about opportunities at Sonepar. In the meantime, be sure to check out Sonepar's profile and the jobs on the Fairy God Boss page. Go on over there. Be a part of this amazing culture and company with these phenomenal women. It sounds like the place to be. Also, we'd love to hear your feedback to help us improve future events. So please head on over to the Typeform tab on the right side of your screen and share your thoughts in a very, very quick 1-minute survey. Say some nice things about the guy in the suit. So thanks, everyone. This was truly phenomenal. What a great way to kick off our week. Thank you, everyone. We will see you next time. Everyone, just enjoy the rest of your day and rest of your week. Thank you, everybody.